Yes, indeed. Big Brother Bear here to give you all that you want and what you need. Today we're going to discuss 5 ways how dumb student athletes can still graduate. Dumb is kind of harsh. Let's say academically deficient. Now, who better than me to give you this advice? Who better than me, the person that failed the 6th grade, got associate promoted from the 8th to the 9th grade, which really meant that they just can't fail you twice under the same roof. So it's a no child left behind, and they're just gonna let you keep going, even though you actually didn't pass the 8th grade. Special education class is so bad that your sister, who's 5 years younger than you, can do your homework. You're in 6th and she's in 1st. Recommended to be put on Ritalin and every other form of medication. Taking remedial courses all the way till I got to high school. Was not picked to graduate high school, let alone college with a master's. But we got it done. Today I'm gonna give you 5 things that I did in college that helped me graduate, even though I came from an academic deficient past.
Hoop loud.
Listen, I know some of you are thinking to yourself, maybe you're in college, or maybe you're thinking about college and you're thinking, I may not have what it takes to go to college. I may not have what it takes to maintain this. I've got myself into this thing called college, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it out because I'm not good in this subject. I'm just not good in academics, period. Before you make any decisions, hear me out. I'm gonna give you 5 things that helped me make that transition, because I was a person, like I said, I failed the 6th grade. I was not supposed to graduate high school, and I did. So these are gonna be some things that I feel like if you add, whether you're about to go to about to go to college, or whether you're already in college, if you add this to your repertoire, if you add this to your tool belt, I'm telling you, it's gonna make the biggest difference. All right, now the first thing I would tell you to do is be able to self-assess. That means look at yourself and do an assessment of what you are actually good at and what you're not good at. Be honest with yourself. Me, myself, I'm not very organized. I wasn't organized in college. So me knowing that, I would have to be able to devise a plan where I wouldn't have to rely so much on that. Or I can put systems in place that will make it easier for me to stay organized moving forward. Another thing is, I wasn't a reader. I read my first real thick book when I was in college. I think I was a junior in college, and I'm not proud of that, but that's what it was. So if I'm not a really good reader, then in college I had to make sure that I gave myself enough time to reread the information before the test, because if I tried to go what everybody else did, who could go through those books in a night, just read them from cover to cover. If I held myself to the same standard that they were holding themselves to, then I would fall back. I would fall behind. I had to be focused on how I studied, not necessarily how everybody else studied. I had to be honest, self-assess, and realize what worked for me may not work for them. Some of these individuals, they can go to study parties and have music playing in the background. It's a more social atmosphere. I'm not that person. I'm a person to this day. I cannot read. I need total silence when I read. Total silence. If I don't have total silence, I'm just thrown off. Anything can throw me off. So I need to be able to have dead silence. And some people in college, they didn't need that. They can have bass going in the back. They could be eating snacks and all that stuff. That's not me. Number 2, the second thing that I did in order to make it in college, even though I started off at a deficit, was I aligned myself with smart individuals. If you were as academically deficient as myself, I did not hang around with you, okay? If you was a basketball player, if you played a sport, I may have hung around with you, like headed to the practice arena or games or whatnot. But on my free time, I only hung around with smart people. I did. Listen, if you couldn't help me academically, then I didn't really fool with you, because I've already self-assessed and I realized that it's going to take a lot for me to get here. So I wanted to align myself with people that's going to help me do that. And when I did that, I started realizing habits that they were doing. I was like, oh, wait a minute. So you don't wait to the last minute to study. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. So you email your professors? You check your email? Okay. So you meet with your professors as well. Not just when you're in trouble. You actually meet with your professors during their office hours? Say what? That's what y'all doing? Okay, so y'all are on the dean's list. Y'all don't know. So here's the thing. Once you start hanging around and aligning yourself with individuals that their bar is so much higher than yours, then you start raising your bar. Now you start having a bar like, okay, now I'm going to try to get on the dean's list. Now your bar start getting raised like, okay, now I want to make sure that I have at least a 3.0 by midterms. All your standards that you had or the lack of standards you had, they raised now because the people that you hang around have higher standards. They're looking at you sideways like, are you serious? You got a 1.7 GPA? Are you serious? So now you feel ashamed that you have these doggone, and that you have these grades. They make you want to level up. There's so many things I picked up from smarter students that I wouldn't have known if I wouldn't have been hanging around with them. Things like resources. What other resources do they have on campus that I'm not tapping into? One thing that I will say about the people that are smarter than me is this. They weren't really smarter than me. What they did was they prepared better than I did. So let that be a reminder to you. Don't look down on yourself and say these people are smarter than you. Typically, they're not smarter than you. They just prepare better than you. They prepare not the night before, right? Yeah, and I know you're thinking right now, well, Bell, you don't know. I know some people that don't study and they still make A's. These people do exist. I will give you that. But what you're not factoring in is a lot of these people had sturdier foundations in high school or in middle school that already prepared them for where they're at right now. So maybe they had a healthy diet of that subject matter before they even got to college. So now it looks like they don't have to work as hard because they got a taste of that in high school. Whereas your high school was maybe didn't prepare you as much. So keep that in mind as well. My third thing is I aligned myself with professors that wanted to see me do well. Now, I know a lot of people will say, Bill, all professors want to see you do well. These are lies, okay? All professors don't want to see you do well. And I'm not trying to make excuses for you, but not all professors want to see you do well. It could be because how you look. It could be because where you came from. It could be because you're a student athlete. Whatever it is, it really doesn't matter why they don't, but there are some that don't. You shouldn't even worry about why they don't, right? Do you only play in gyms that everyone's cheering for you? No, right? Sometimes you got to go on the road. There's people booing you. This happens in college as well. There's going to be some teachers that love you, and there's going to be teachers that don't like you. And some of these situations are not in your control. It's just they already have preconceived notions of you before you got there. That's fine. But let me get back to the story of when I found out that a professor didn't like me or a professor was negative towards me. So if you don't know my full story, I actually dropped out of college because both of my parents passed away of cancer. And then I got back into college. And when I got back into college, I was swinging for the fences. I said, you know what? I need to pick a major that's going to make my family proud. That's going to help me feed my family. So I picked physical therapy. I can name all the prereqs right now about physical therapy, whether it's Chem 1, Chem 2 with a lab, you got abnormal psych, you got psychology, you have medical terminology, you have, did I already say Chem? If I already said Chem, then the next one is physics 1, physics 2. There's some programs out there that want you to have a doggone a foreign language. That's like the core. That's the core group of classes you have to do in order to be a physical therapist. So I already knew these things, right? So long story short, I go into one of my professor's office, and he was on the phone with someone talking about me not making it. It was something along the lines of, and this guy, I think he is going to be a physical therapist. He's not very smart. He said these things that really was hurtful when I walked in. The bad part wasn't what he said. The bad part was giving that information. He never told me this. That's the part that was negative to me. Whereas I have another professor that sat me down. It was like, look, Bill, you're not good at this, but you have this amount of money left in scholarship. How about you do speech communication? How about you do this? How about you do that? And you'll still have a nice, well-rounded education and still be able to go out in the job force. I have much more respect for a person that does that. So if you're going to be negative, then give me something positive that give me some advice of how I can get myself out of this hole, rather than pointing your finger saying that I'm a terrible student and don't even tell me. You're just talking behind closed doors about it. All right, so there are some negative individuals out there, and that's fine. Everybody don't have to be your friend. But what I did was I aligned myself with professors that had my best interests at heart, that would stay after their office hours and talk to me about my future, that would help me enroll in classes when I needed help, that would talk to me during the office hours about different books I should pick up, right? My first actual book that I read from cover to cover that had like some thickness to it was from that professor that challenged me. It was from that professor that actually was a positive influence in my life. Not the negative one that was talking behind my back on the phone loud as day about me not being a good physical therapist. And you know what? That person was right. But how they communicated couldn't have been worse, right? You could have that conversation with me one-on-one and say, Bill, let's go about it a different way. But anyway, what I'm telling you is this: align yourself with professors that want to see you do well. That want to see you do well. And you'll feel that when you're in the room. You can feel when someone's being fake with you. You can feel when someone's being genuine. The people that are being genuine, that actually want your best interests, that really have your best interests, stay with those people because they're gold. Number 4, the fourth thing I would say is I had to really sit down, and I kind of said this earlier, but I had to really sit down and ask myself, what's the best move for me? What's the best move for me as far as academically? What does that look like for me? And it's easy to get sidetracked off what everybody else is doing. I'm telling you, it's easy to get sidetracked because so-and-so can go with little sleep, or so-and-so can study 30 minutes before the test. Like, listen, what is the best thing for me? How do I study? How do I study? What's the best way? Like, how do I get the most out of studying? Do I need to write things down over and over and over again? Do I need to use flashcards? Do I need to use the resources on campus? What does that thing look like for me? What does it look like for me? And my 5th one is this: I had to realize there wasn't anyone going to save me. And you're going to have to work. It's going to be based off your own merit. Everyone can give you advice about, oh, I think you should choose this major, or oh, I think you should drop this class. But at the end of the day, what's really happening is you have all these people at the table making their orders of what you should do, what you should eat, right? And think of you at a restaurant. The realization that I found out is, after all these people give their 2 cents about what you should be doing, realize this: you're going to be footing the bill. You're going to be paying for it yourself. So if you're going to be paying for it yourself in the end time, whether it be with your time, your energy, your patience, or your money, or all 4, if you're going to be fitting the bill and you got to sign your name at the bottom of that receipt and you got to pay for it out of your bank account, then you better have a say in it. I don't care if you're trying to be respectful to your coach because, he's older or she's older. Be respectful. I'm not telling you not to be respectful, but what I am saying is you fitting the bill. You got to take care of the bill yourself. You're going to have to pay for it. It's your name, it's your time, it's your experience. So make sure this makes sense to you and realize that if you don't put in the work won't be done. The work won't be done. You're going to be reaping the benefits, or you're going to be paying in the form of consequences of what you get done or don't get done in college. That is a fact.